The wind howled across the barren training field of an Air Force base in Nevada, carrying with it the faint scent of dust and metal. Rows of soldiers stood at attention, but all eyes were fixed on a young girl kneeling on the tarmac beside a small, half-built drone. Her name was Hannah Carter, a 17-year-old high school student with oil-stained fingers, messy auburn hair pulled into a low ponytail, and eyes that gleamed with quiet determination. The challenge had started as a joke. A senior Air Force officer, Colonel Mitchell, had mocked her homemade drone at a public STEM exhibition, daring her to build something the military could actually use. Now, 3 months later, under the scorching Nevada sun, she was here to prove that brilliance could come from the most unexpected places. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of believing in someone when no one else does, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel to keep stories like this alive. Hannah had grown up in a small Texas town where money was scarce but dreams ran deep. Her father had been a mechanic before losing his job, and her mother, a nurse, worked double shifts to keep food on the table. From the moment Hannah could hold a screwdriver, she was fascinated by how things worked: old radios, broken drones from the scrapyard, even kitchen appliances that others had given up on. She had no expensive equipment, no formal lab, just a small wooden table in her garage and an ancient laptop that overheated every hour. Her dream was to one day design something that mattered, something that could save lives. But dreams like that often seemed unreachable for a girl with no resources and no connections. When Colonel Mitchell visited her high school's science fair, Hannah had presented a drone she'd built entirely from recycled parts. It could fly longer on half the power of standard models. But when she nervously showed it to him, his laughter echoed through the gymnasium. "Cute toy," he said, turning away. "Come back when you can build something real." That humiliation cut deep. That night, sitting alone in her garage, Hannah promised herself that one day she would make him eat those words. For 3 grueling months, she worked day and night. Her hands blistered, her savings vanished, and her grades began to slip. She studied every open-source design she could find, learning advanced programming on her cracked phone screen. There were nights when she nearly gave up, when the motors wouldn't sync, or the stabilizer kept failing mid-flight. Once, her prototype crashed into a fence, bursting into sparks, and she sank to her knees in tears. But every time doubt whispered, she remembered the colonel's smirk, and she kept going. By the time the Air Force held its next public demo, Hannah had something new: a small, sleek drone with no external propellers, running silently on a custom AI-driven propulsion system she had coded herself. She called it Falcon X. Nervously, she sent a message to Colonel Mitchell, inviting him to see it in action. He ignored her email at first, but her principal, moved by Hannah's relentless effort, forwarded the invitation to the base. Against his better judgment, Mitchell agreed to a 5-minute demonstration. And so here she was, standing on military grounds, her heart pounding as engineers and officers gathered to watch. She powered on Falcon X, its polished silver body reflecting the Nevada sunlight. The small machine hovered silently, steady as a hawk. Then, without any remote control, it performed an automated maneuver, rising, banking sharply, and accelerating past the runway markers with flawless precision. A collective gasp spread through the crowd. It shifted into thermal detection mode, locking onto heat signatures from 200 feet away, transmitting real-time data onto a tablet screen. Soldiers stared, astonished. The colonel's arms, once folded in arrogance, slowly dropped to his sides. But then, disaster struck. A sudden wind gust interfered with the sensors, and the drone began to spiral. Panic filled Hannah's chest, her fingers trembling as she typed emergency commands. For a few seconds, it seemed like everything she'd worked for would end in failure. And then, against all odds, Falcon X stabilized itself automatically, using a fail-safe algorithm Hannah had written at 3 a.m. weeks earlier. It landed smoothly, the propeller hum fading into silence. The audience erupted in applause. The colonel, visibly shaken, walked over, staring at the data readouts. "This," he finally muttered, "is better than anything we've tested this year." The following weeks were a whirlwind. The Air Force requested further testing. Engineers visited Hannah's garage, unable to believe she'd built the prototype from scrap. When reporters asked her what drove her, she simply said, "Sometimes all you need is one person to doubt you, and the courage not to listen." The military eventually adapted her propulsion system for search and rescue drones, capable of flying silently into disaster zones. Her invention saved lives during wildfire evacuations in California, where regular drones failed due to heat interference. Hannah became a symbol of perseverance, a reminder that genius isn't confined to labs or uniforms, but born in garages, built with bruised hands and unshakable faith. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that determination can defy any odds, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us share more real stories that inspire hope and courage. Before you go, comment below, what would you create if no one doubted you? Your answer might inspire the next Hannah Carter. By the time she turned 19, Hannah was awarded a full scholarship to MIT and a contract to work with defense innovators. Yet she still kept that first broken drone, the one the colonel had laughed at, hanging above her desk. It reminded her that failure wasn't the end, it was just the start of flight.